Can you be my new mom? The question landed softly, almost politely, yet it froze the air between them. Just minutes earlier, she had been sitting alone at the small restaurant table, hands wrapped around a cooling cup of coffee, reminding herself she had survived worse than a Christmas Eve blind date gone wrong. She had beaten anxiety years ago, learned to breathe through disappointment, learned not to take silence personally, but standing up and realizing he wasn't coming still made her chest tighten. When the man finally rushed in, apologetic and flustered, it was already too late. His little girl followed him inside, curious eyes scanning the room, and before either adult could recover, the child climbed onto the chair across from her and studied her face as if it mattered. The father stiffened instantly, already bracing for rejection, for another polite goodbye, for another woman walking away from their complicated life. She felt it, the tension, the fear, the expectation that she would disappear like the others. So she smiled, lowered herself to the girl's level, and answered gently, honestly, that she couldn't. The girl didn't cry. She didn't argue. She simply nodded, as if she understood more than she should. The silence that followed was heavier than the rejection itself. No anger, no drama. Just three strangers briefly sharing the same fragile moment. She stood, wished them a quiet Merry Christmas, and left the restaurant believing the night was over. Believing that this was just another story that would fade by morning. She didn't know yet that something small, unnoticed, had slipped into her purse. Something that would refuse to let her forget them. Alone in her quiet apartment, she empties the bag onto the kitchen counter, expecting nothing more than receipts and cold leftovers. Instead, a folded sheet of paper slips out and lands near her keys. She recognizes it instantly. It's the drawing the little girl had proudly shown her at the restaurant. 3 stick figures holding hands beneath a crooked heart, uneven but intentional. For a long moment, she just stands there, staring at it, feeling something unfamiliar tighten in her chest. She tells herself it means nothing, that children draw pictures for everyone, that she already said no. Still, she smooths the paper carefully, placing it on the table as if it were fragile. That night, she barely sleeps. The drawing lingers in her thoughts, not as a question, but as a presence. The next morning, sunlight fills the hallway as she steps outside, and that's when she sees them again. The father struggles with grocery bags while the little girl hops beside him, humming, her coat half-zipped. They stop at the door across the hall. Neighbors. Temporary ones, judging by the unfamiliar boxes stacked inside their apartment. Their eyes meet, and surprise flickers across his face, quickly followed by something cautious, restrained. He explains they just moved in, only for a while, trying to get through the holidays somewhere quiet. There is no mention of the restaurant, no apology, no expectation. Just polite words and tired smiles. She learns his wife died the year before, just before Christmas, and that this is their first attempt at starting over somewhere new. As he speaks, she understands that the drawing wasn't about replacing someone. It was about survival. 3 figures holding hands, not because they were perfect, but because being alone had become too heavy to carry. She tells herself she's only being polite. Nothing more. When she knocks on their door for the first time, it's with a neutral excuse. She received the wrong package, maybe it belongs to them. The father thanks her, careful, distant, standing slightly sideways as if blocking the apartment behind him. She doesn't step inside. She doesn't need to. After that, the encounters are small and accidental. The hallway. The mailbox. The shared elevator ride. She offers help only when it feels unavoidable, holding the door, picking up something the man drops, smiling at the girl when their eyes meet. She never stays long. She never asks questions. The father keeps his words measured. Always respectful. Always guarded. He thanks her for everything. even things that don't require gratitude. His eyes are observant, cataloging tone and intention, waiting for a reason to pull back. He's learned how quickly things can disappear. The girl, however, doesn't wait. She begins creating routines out of nothing. A wave every morning. A quiet hi in the afternoon. Standing by the door at the same hour, shoes on, pretending it's coincidence when they meet. It's subtle, almost polite, but persistent. One evening, the girl asks if she likes hot chocolate. The father stiffens immediately, already preparing to intervene. She answers honestly, "Yes." The girl smiles, satisfied, as if she's just checked something important off an invisible list. The next day, a mug appears in her hands in the hallway. Too sweet. Too hot. Made with care. The father apologizes, says she didn't have to accept it. She drinks it anyway. The girl watches closely, memorizing the result. She notices how the father never relaxes completely. Even when he smiles, there's tension behind it. His posture stays upright. His voice never rises. He listens more than he speaks, as if every word costs something. She recognizes the behavior. It looks like self-control. It feels like fear. She keeps telling herself she won't let this become anything. She won't replace anyone. She won't promise continuity she can't guarantee. She has worked too hard to build a life that doesn't depend on being needed. Distance, she knows, is safer for everyone. Still, she finds herself adjusting her schedule, walking slower in the evenings, lingering a moment longer by their door, noticing which lights are on and which aren't. These are not decisions. They are habits forming quietly. The girl starts waiting for her. Not directly, never openly. Just nearby. Sitting on the steps. Drawing on the floor. Always within sight. The father notices and gently redirects her, reminding her to give space. The girl listens, then waits again the next day. She tells herself it's temporary. That routines fade. That people move on. But one night, as she unlocks her door, she hears the girl's laughter from across the hall and realizes she's begun to expect it. She begins to notice the pattern in him before she can name it. Every conversation stays anchored in logistics, school schedules, grocery bags, whether complaints, neutral ground. Whenever a sentence drifts toward anything personal, he redirects it with quiet efficiency, as if responsibility itself were a shield he knows how to hold. He talks about his daughter constantly, but never about himself. Not before. Not now. Not after. His life seems to exist only in relation to her needs, her routines, her safety. It's admirable. It's also exhausting to watch. She recognizes the strategy immediately. If he becomes nothing but a provider, there's no room left to feel loss. She mirrors him without meaning to. When he asks about her work, she gives clean, professional answers. When he asks how long she's lived there, she keeps it vague. She doesn't mention the years she spent rebuilding herself, or the nights she taught herself how not to panic when plans fell apart. She keeps her history folded neatly away. Their connection grows in the smallest ways. A shared coffee in the hallway when neither of them is in a hurry. Short walks to the corner store, the girl skipping ahead while they follow at a measured distance. Quiet laughter over something minor, something safe. Nothing that demands explanation afterward. The girl becomes the rhythm between them. She doesn't push. She doesn't ask questions anymore. She simply includes her, handing her crayons, tugging her sleeve during walks, offering opinions about which route is better. The father watches closely but says nothing. For now, he allows it. There's comfort in how ordinary it feels. No declarations. No tension that needs naming. Just repeated moments that begin to stack on top of each other, forming weight without sound. She feels it when she wakes up thinking about whether they'll run into each other that morning. He starts anticipating her presence too, though he never acknowledges it. He times errands around hers, waits an extra minute by the elevator, pauses before closing his door. These are not accidents. They're adjustments made quietly, without commitment. She catches herself noticing details she shouldn't care about. The way his voice softens when he talks to his daughter. The way he always steps between the girl and the street. The tired patience in his movements. These are not romantic observations. They are human ones. That feels more dangerous. One evening, as they stand outside watching the girl draw shapes in the snow, he thanks her again for the coffee, the walks, the company. The word company lingers. She nods, says it's nothing. They both know it's not true, but neither of them corrects it. She realizes then that what's growing between them isn't hope. It's gravity. Something pulling steadily, without asking permission. She's built her life to resist exactly this kind of weight, to stay light enough to leave without pain. Later that night, she finds herself standing by her window longer than usual, looking down at the street, wondering how long quiet connections can exist before they demand to be named. The change in the girl doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual, almost careful, as if she's learning how far she's allowed to reach. She starts waiting closer to the door. She asks more questions. She leans into her side during walks, light but deliberate, as if testing whether that closeness will be tolerated. The father notices immediately. His body tightens in small ways, an extra step forward, a gentle hand on the girl's shoulder, a quiet reminder to give space. He never raises his voice. He never scolds. But the correction is there, precise and consistent, like someone who knows exactly what he's trying to prevent. She understands his fear before he ever names it. Attachment is dangerous when you've already lost too much. Letting someone matter means risking the moment they leave. She sees it in his eyes when the girl laughs too freely around her, when comfort starts to feel natural instead of borrowed. The girl, unaware of the tension she's creating, begins weaving her into everyday life. She saves her a seat, hands her drawings without explanation, mentions her casually in conversations, as if she's already part of the routine. These aren't grand gestures. They're assumptions, and assumptions are fragile. One afternoon, the father gently interrupts a moment between them, redirecting the girl toward another activity. It's subtle, but it lands hard. The girl complies, quieter than usual. She feels the shift immediately, like a door closing softly but firmly. That night, she replays it over and over. The correction, the look on the girl's face, the father's careful restraint. She tells herself this is where she should step back, where she should make things easier for everyone by restoring distance before it turns into disappointment. She starts pulling away in small ways. Shorter conversations, polite excuses, less lingering. The girl notices first. She asks fewer questions, watches more closely, trying to understand what changed. The father notices too, but says nothing, perhaps relieved, perhaps unsure. For the first time, she questions her instincts. She's always believed fear came from rejection, from being left behind, overlooked, dismissed. But this feels different. This fear comes from staying, from being seen, from the possibility that her presence actually matters. She realizes then that walking away would be simple, clean, painless in the way she's practiced for years. Remaining would mean accepting uncertainty, responsibility, and the quiet risk of becoming essential to someone else's life. As she stands outside her door that evening, listening to the muted sounds from across the hall, she understands the truth she's been avoiding. She isn't afraid of being unwanted anymore. She's afraid of being needed, and not knowing if she's brave enough to stay. She doesn't learn the truth from him at first. It slips out sideways, during a casual conversation with a neighbor who recognizes the father's name and mentions the relatives who tried to visit months ago. The sentence is brief, almost careless, but it settles heavily in her mind. Later that day, she watches him struggle with grocery bags again, refusing help even when it's clearly inconvenient. The pattern sharpens. It's not independence. It's punishment. A quiet sentence he's been serving himself daily, convinced it's what responsibility demands. When she brings it up, she does it gently. No accusation. No pressure. Just curiosity. She asks why no one ever comes by. He hesitates, eyes fixed on the floor, and for a moment she thinks he'll deflect like always. Instead, he exhales. He tells her the family wanted to help. His parents, his sister, friends who offered to stay, to take turns to ease the weight. He refused all of them. Not because they failed him, but because he failed first. Because surviving without his wife felt like a debt he needed to pay alone. The words come slowly, uneven, as if he's translating feelings he's never said out loud. He believed that if he accepted help, it would mean he wasn't strong enough. That letting others in would make the loss more real, not less. She listens without interrupting. When he finishes, she doesn't rush to reassure him. She lets the silence settle, lets him sit with what he's admitted. Then she speaks, quietly, clearly. She tells him strength isn't isolation. That carrying everything alone doesn't make the weight lighter, it only makes it invisible. She says his daughter doesn't need a hero. She needs a human being who knows when to lean. He doesn't argue. He doesn't defend himself. He just nods, once, slowly, as if something inside him finally shifts into place. That night, she notices a missed call on his phone as he checks it in the hallway. His sister's name. He doesn't ignore it this time. The change doesn't arrive with speeches or apologies. It shows up quietly, in choices so small they could be missed if no one was paying attention. The first is the call. He doesn't announce it. She just hears his voice through the thin wall one afternoon, low and careful, saying his sister's name without defensiveness. After that, things begin to shift. He starts accepting help without qualifying it. When his sister offers to send meals for the week, he says yes instead of insisting they're fine. When his mother asks to visit after the holidays, he doesn't redirect the conversation. He listens. The apartment feels different almost immediately. Not louder. Not busier. Just lighter. Boxes get unpacked instead of stacked. Curtains are open during the day. The girl hums more often, moving freely from room to room without checking whether she's in the way. One of the first habits she notices is how he stops rushing everything. Mornings used to feel like drills. Quick breakfast, fast coats, controlled movements. Now he sits while the girl eats, waits while she talks, lets time stretch without correcting it. Nothing falls apart. Another habit changes quietly too. He begins leaving the door open when she's in the hallway. Not wide. Just enough. An invitation without expectation. He no longer positions himself as a barrier between spaces. He trusts that what enters won't immediately disappear. He also starts asking questions that aren't practical. Small ones. How her day was. Whether she slept well. If she prefers coffee or tea. He listens to the answers without turning them into something else. She notices how unfamiliar this feels for him, and how intentional. The girl responds instantly. She becomes brighter, more settled, no longer scanning faces for signs of retreat. She talks about school plans, about what she wants to do next time, about holidays that haven't happened yet. Future language returns to her naturally. She watches all of this without stepping forward or pulling away. There's no need to manage the distance anymore. It seems to find its own balance. When she's there, she's included. When she's not, the house still holds together. One evening, they share a simple dinner. Nothing planned, nothing symbolic. He thanks her for being patient, not for helping, not for staying, just for being there without forcing anything. She nods, understanding exactly what he means. Later, as they clean up together, she realizes something has shifted inside her too. The fear that once told her to leave has quieted, not because the risk is gone, but because the weight is now shared. When she heads back to her apartment that night, she pauses at her door, listening to the soft sounds across the hall. The laughter, the movement, the life continuing. And for the first time, she doesn't wonder whether she belongs in it. She doesn't announce her decision. There is no moment where she explains herself or draws a line in the future. She simply stays. The next evening, she finds herself standing in their living room, sleeves rolled up, untangling a box of old Christmas lights while the girl sits cross-legged on the floor, sorting ornaments by color with intense concentration. The tree is smaller than she expected, a little uneven, its branches thinner on one side, but it fills the room with a kind of quiet anticipation that doesn't ask for anything in return. The father watches at first, uncertain, then slowly joins in, handing her decorations without commentary, letting the moment exist without trying to define it. No one talks about what this means. No one needs to. They laugh softly when the lights refuse to work the first time. The girl insists on fixing it herself, serious and determined, until the room finally glows in warm, uneven light. When the last ornament is placed, the girl steps back, proud, then looks up at her with a question already forming in her eyes. "Will you come back tomorrow?" There's no urgency in her voice, no fear. Just expectation, calm and hopeful. She doesn't hesitate. She smiles, warm and certain, and says, "Yes." The word settles gently into the room, steady and real. The father exhales, a sound so quiet it almost disappears beneath the hum of the lights. The tree stands illuminated between them, imperfect and bright, reflecting three figures in the window glass. In that soft glow, nothing feels rushed or fragile. There are no promises hanging in the air, no guarantees being made. Only presence, only continuity. And for the first time in a long while, staying feels less like a risk and more like home.